The way you look after your skin in your 20s will help determine the skin you have in your 40s, 50s and beyond. So in this video, I'm going to talk through how to look after your skin in your 20s. What can you do to really help preserve glowing, healthy skin through your 20s and into later years? We'll talk through the mistakes to avoid, the products you can use and the treatments that are worth investing in. So what would I avoid if I were trying to be conscious and mindful of looking after my skin in my 20s? First up, sunbeds. There seems to be a worrying increase in their popularity again at the moment, and it's something I don't quite understand because they emit an enormous quantity of UVA radiation. So this doesn't just increase your skin cancer risk, it also increases the rate at which you will prematurely age. While they may be at less risk of causing sunburn, all of the other bad things that UV exposure can do, they will help to drive. Sunbeds for me are an absolute no, and I really hope we see some of those regulations that are in place in Australia come into force in the UK over the coming years. And while we're at it, let's talk about sun in general, because the second mistake to avoid really has to be not wearing sunscreen. Their previous generations have more of an excuse because the sun education wasn't there. We do now really understand the impact that the sun has on our skin. Wearing a good sunscreen every single day, a factor 30 at least through the winter months, a factor 50 if it's a hot day, reapplying throughout the day. That level of protection is crucial if you want to preserve your skin health moving forwards. And there's no excuse for not doing it. We have so many different formulations of sunscreen now with something that really does suit every single skin type. Face, neck, décolletage, hands, and if any other body parts are exposed, do those as well. Third up, smoking. And I'm going to include vaping in this because again, I see people vaping everywhere at the moment and it really seems to have got more common. So again, people know smoking's bad for you and they realise smoking's bad for your skin and how you age, but they're not so mindful about vaping. And actually the nicotine that's in vape liquid is not just potentially addictive, but also can decrease the circulation to your skin, making it deplete of micronutrients and oxygen, and again, helping to accelerate aging. Next up is dietary mistakes, because again, through our 20s we often get away with a little bit more than we do in our 40s from a diet perspective. Maybe our metabolism's a bit quicker, we can compensate a little bit more, but sugar and not eating enough of a variety of fruit and veg and not eating enough protein is still going to have an impact on your long-term skin health. So if you can think about making those good lifestyle choices through your 20s, they will really help you have good skin in later years as well. Adequate protein intake of a minimum of 1 gram per kilogram body weight, a good variety of fruit and vegetables, and making sure you're careful about your sugar content in your diet, because refined sugar really is empty calories and it's in more things than you might realise. There are some common mistakes that I think are worth thinking about when you're thinking about your skin health. What should you be doing for your skin? And I think the key through your 20s, bearing in mind that collagen production sort of switches off around 25, elastin production actually is about 18 years old. So our skin is starting to age in our 20s, even if we've not seen it yet. The key here is building a good and consistent routine. So by that, it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean cleansing, using an antioxidant in the morning to help protect your skin, some sort of moisturizing sunscreen, and in the evening thinking about adding in a retinol. You might not need to do that when you're 20, but by 25 the retinol should certainly be in there. Other things you can add if your skin needs them. So if you're a little bit more on the dehydrated side, thinking about adding a hyaluronic acid or a lightweight moisturizer, for example, but you can tweak and tailor make it depending on your skin. In terms of cleansers, again, there'll be a lot of variety, and a mistake I do often see people make when they're in their 20s is that they're overusing actives too early. It's not that more of that sort of ingredient is a better thing for you when you're at that age. It really is about maintaining rather than correcting. So yeah, sure, use some acids, be that glycolic, salicylic or PHAs, but you don't need to overuse them. You don't need to use these really aggressive products. You don't necessarily need to be on a really high potency prescription retinoid. You'll do well with a retinoid in your routine, but it doesn't have to be the strongest version available. You're working on prevention at this stage. And in clinic treatments, where should you be investing? Again, there's been a real trend towards younger people in their 20s seeking out injectables, and there are very few people beneath 25 who need injectables. Every now and then there's an exception, someone who's developing premature lines, usually due to one of the lifestyle things I discussed at the start of the video. But more commonly than not, this really is about skin health. Think about working with an expert skin therapist and considering medical facials, be that with light lasers or peels, which are a great choice. Things like microneedling can also be a good option, especially if you've had a little bit of skin texture issues such as mild acne scarring from your teenage years. There's a lot that can be done. Put yourself into the hands of an expert, think about this as skin maintenance, and invest in something to really look after your skin, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks. But don't go thinking along the injectable lines too early. I really do believe that having injectables too young can make you look older than you are rather than better than you are. If this content has been useful for you, please give it a thumbs up or send me a little message below, and please do subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this.